Hi, everyone. Greetings from the Ukrainian Startup Fund and the innovative marketing agency iDealers. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to launch a specialized marketing course for startup founders and their teams with iDealers agency, who helps innovative businesses develop their strategies and brands. Today is our first lecture where we're gonna answer the main question: why does a startup need branding? It is my pleasure to welcome the speaker, Artur Bashan, who is the head of startup unit at iTealers. So let's get a deeper view of how to create a brand, increase customer loyalty, and create a love mark together. So Artur, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Yana. Such a fancy intro. Okay, yeah, I'm really excited to be here today with you. And let me start sharing my screen. To start this lecture, it's going to be, the first part of our course. Can you see the first slide? Yana, can you see it?
Yeah, it's all set.
Yeah, cool. So this is the first part of our course for early stage startups, course of marketing. And today's lecture its topic sounds like minimal viable product for minimal viable brand for minimal viable product, and why startup needs branding. It's kind of like controversial question, but let's like dig down and try to figure out what's right and what's wrong with it. Yeah, a few words about myself to let you know who I am. Hi, my name's Arthur. I have 8+ years of experience in advertising and marketing. I started working in a media agency and worked mostly like with traditional media, like TV, outdoor, radio, etc. And that was connected with mostly FMCG and retail brands. After that, I drove my own team as a co-founder and as a CEO of digital marketing agency, and we were focused mostly on performance marketing and PPC, working with e-commerce companies, e-commerce businesses. Since the full-scale invasion, I've worked as a CMO at Raccoon Technologies, where we launched 2 startups on US market during 2.5 years and during 2 years. And currently, I am the head of startup unit at iDealers agency. And this is me basically trying to find a balance between the agency's services and true startup needs, which is not that easy actually. Our team, iDealers, we're focused on working with innovative businesses and startups mostly, and we've worked with a bunch of startups from different niches and categories with deep tech, health tech, milk tech, hardware, software. But beside that, we are strategic partners of organizations like accelerators, incubators, and VCs. We help them to build their brand, to build their communication, and we support them on various global events and delegations. So what's on the program today? Today we are going to speak about branding for startup, what it serves for, what it consists of, and what is the crucial difference between branding the startup and usual conventional, traditional business. Why? Because the time of new generation businesses with new approach of marketing has come. Digital channels and tools open an opportunity of adaptable work, A/B testing, quick feedback loops, and online tracking. But the most important, it has given the rise to trend of personalization. Products and services are becoming more focused on particular segments and niches specializations. That means that you can find a messenger or video conference service specifically tailored to the needs of your business, team, and everything you need. This means that focus and positioning are the vital things to effectively deliver your value to your possible customers. Or, for example, we can take a look at the number of available apps on the App Store, which has been dramatically growing during the last decade, and there are more than 4 million apps total. More than 8,000 apps are being published every day, and this means that product strategy without marketing doesn't work anymore. And the problem starts when the focus is shifted on the product and market is put aside. And in any business, any business or startup should be first of all focused on his customer and building its communication and activity around delivering value of its customer. We had cases when startup founders created product and only after that they came up to the question, who is their potential user? And this approach should be avoided. And this is one of my favorite slides. It shows exactly what you sell. You sell the solution and possibilities for the customer, not only your product, as you might think. And let's see in details what the typical customer journey looks like to understand the role of branding in it. Let's say we have our customer, our ICP or typical profile of the customer, and we have our product. Sure, what we want to do, what we want to happen. Of course, we want to convert it into sales. We want our customer to purchase our product in the shortest way and shortest time, and it looks pretty simple. But in real life, it's not, because of the massive of factors like competitors, prices, personal experience, etc. So our customer, when he needs something, tries to recall some solutions he might have heard or seen before or maybe used before. He thinks about some recommendations, word of mouth, top of mind brands of products. Then he starts searching opportunities and alternatives and compare them with each other. At the final stage of comparison, people usually make a short list of products and make their choice oriented on their rational and emotional arguments. And finally, bingo, we have our product. But the journey doesn't end up here because we still have a lot of work to do. We need to provide decent user experience to get positive feedback. And what's next? Right, we need our customer to become our brand advocate, to recommend our product to other potential customers, to loop this cycle and make it repeat, so on and so on. In other words, we need to become a love mark for our customer, and it is working on the branding is the key here in this cycle, because branding hits the awareness part of the marketing funnel, and this is like the first step in marketing in new audience, and at the same time it makes an impact on the end of this marketing, on the advocacy stage. And it is closely impossible to become a love mark using only performance tools. So it is a mistake to think that branding is just a name or a logo. It is kind of a story and experience that being built in people's mind. And let's see how it works from the customer's perspective on another familiar example. Uh, what we can see here, it's a bottle of cola, right? What if we try to decompose it into elements like rationally? What we have here? We have the Coca-Cola company with all its capacities, factories, employees, and other assets. We have basically the product, which is basically brown sparkling soda drink. And we have our design, which is red background and white letters on it. So these are three different aspects of the business. But if we take a look from the perspective of the customer, we will understand that he sees all of those three aspects like a holistic entity, like a whole single picture in his mind, and he doesn't separate them mentally. So this is actually the branding that is being built inside people's mind, and this holistic entity is forming the comprehensive idea of the company in people's minds and give them the perception of your value. And if you have formed this value in people's minds, it will be harder to erase it or to copy it, unlike the functional product advantages, for example, of your product. So this holistic entity consists of following parts like design, user experience, team, product, logo, core message, packaging, content, website, and of course social mission, because we live in modern world and modern society, and this is also important. This list can be extended, but it doesn't mean that you have to have all of those assets at the time, at once. You better try to take it as a startup, of course. You better try to take it like upgrading your character in computer game, like getting new skills to reach the next level, step by step, improving, testing, and moving further. So what are those levels for the startup? This is our vision of the most meaningful stages of startup growth. And here are the key marketing challenges that you can meet on each stage, and tools and some brand assets that will help you to tackle those challenges. So the first idea at MVP stage, we need to present our idea. We need to communicate clearly how we solve the problem, to convey our value, and to inspire with idea, so-called 3Fs: fools, friends, and family, which are your first investors probably. So here we will need naming and descriptor, USP and value proposition, design and style guide, and presentation, and different kinds of decks to communicate and present yourself. On the next stage, proceed, we need to form the relevant base of potential audience, to distinguish ourselves from the competitors, and to improve our product and value proposition. And here comes positioning, external communication, website, and developing your PRs and social networks. At the next level, like seed and growth, we need to scale up, we need to expand our client base and measure our effectiveness. And here when we use advertising, communication strategy, and such metrics like ROI, LTV, and etc. So let's see what we should start with from very beginning in branding process of startup on early stage, the minimal viable brand for minimal viable product. And this is especially what distinguishes the approach of branding a startup and a traditional business It's like with product development, you shouldn't try to develop everything at once before you roll it out to potential customer, because there is a high probability that you will make some mistake at this first attempt, and it doesn't have to take a lot of your resources. So branding or creating your MVB should be approached in the same way as a product, because branding is essentially the emotional component of your product. And here are the first and basic things for minimal viable product. The main components. It starts with positioning, which says what makes you different. Positioning is how your product or service stands out of the market and solves the problem of your target audience better than the competitors. Then next is naming. It's pretty clear what's your name, or selecting a suitable, memorable name for your business. Next is descriptor. It's not the slogan, it's descriptor. It's a concise phrase or sentence that displays the core essence of your unique selling point or proposition, or the core of your business. The slogan, you can use it, but it's not necessary on the early stage, of course, because it's more like emotional part. What do I feel with your product? And communication, what and who are you talking to? Conveying your startup's vision, value, branding, and to various stakeholders. And before starting developing your brand, I would highly recommend to work through those aspects: your unique sales point and value proposition, of course. And value proposition comes, of course, from your audience insights. There are a lot of frames of working with audience insights. So your customer, your cost dev, and the research of your customer, knowing his pains, gains, job to be done, knowing his problem, and living through his problem by yourself is the key to your growth, is the key to making a decent value proposition and improving it all the time. So your cost dev is the key to your growth. Work with your ICPs. Let's see the frames and tools to develop positioning, the first stage. I want to share our approach that we established in our team. There are a lot of frames for development, for brand modeling. We frequently use a few of them. We adopted them for working with startups. So the first one consists of 4 fundamental elements, and your brand essence appears in the intersection of it. The first element is your functional advantages. These are your features and functions, everything you develop in your product. The second one are your reasons to believe. Basically, these are the proofs and evidences that stands behind your promise to your customer. For example, it can be some special technology or experience of your teammates. For example, in Raccoon startup, we had physical therapists and rehabilitologists onboarded, and also we involved a coach from NASA as an advisor and ambassador, and that gave us like a lot of credit. The third part is your emotional advantages. These are the results that your customer will get with your solution and his feelings and emotions. And the last but not least is your story and the contest. Basically, it's the story of the founders of the team, what drives them, what are your vision, what's your mission, everything that inspires you beside the revenue. Yeah, and the context means a lot, because in different markets and different niches, it can give you, it can be impactful and insightful also. So at the intersection of those four aspects appears our startup's key value, and this is basically your brand essence. Um, One more frame that I would like to share, also very effective, is so-called brand triangular. It consists of four fundamental aspects, which includes the user, the competitors, and our company and our product. So first of all, you study your users and find their insights, their problem. Secondly, you study the market and competitors, and you understand what the market and competitors offer to your users to solve their problem. And at this last stage, you understand what is your solution and why is it better for your user. And in the intersection of those three aspects appears your positioning. Let me give you an example how we developed our positioning in Timples, another startup that I worked with. So making the research of our target audience, first of all, Timples is a corporate app for people who have a lot of sedentary work and have problem with physical health related with a lot of sedentary work. It included different programs with physical activities, gamified with competitions, prizes, and other things. So, making the research of our target audience, we broke down our audience into three segments. The first segments were so-called procrastinators. These are the people who don't do sports regularly, mostly like situational activities. They have lack of self-organizations, then they are not used to forcing themselves to do something. The second segment was we call them busy but executive, people who understand the value and benefits of physical activity, but unfortunately they are pretty busy and often they have no time to have systematic physical activity. So they want to support themselves to stay fit and toned, but they don't want to spend half of their life in gym. So just enough physical activity to feel myself good. And also sometimes they have feeling of guilt or an uncompleted task when they don't find time for physical activity during the day. And the last segment was the fitness fans. These are the active athletes whose goal is training, who had 3-5 workouts during 2 hours per week, and they actually have a lot of time for training. So looking at all of that, we understood that we can cover those two first segments, because the third one most likely would prefer more intensive training in gym with trainer instead of using application. We took the first segment, identified their motives and jobs to be done, and it sounded like I want to be involved in health and fitness trend and feel good without spending half of the life in the gym. And the second segment's job to be done sounded like when I have no time or opportunity to work out, I need some physical activity to do for having completed my daily healthcare plan. So getting back to our brand triangular, we put those three components: the users with his insights, to be involved in health and fitness trend and feel good without spending half of the life in a gym. The competitors, the market, which mostly offered them fitness applications, gym, and mental health apps. Why mental health? Because physical health is tightly connected with mental health, and it is also part of our. They are also part of our competitors. And our company and product, which provided plans with short exercises during the day. And And at the intersection of those three aspects, we came up with a positioning that sounded like snacksercise. Um, Sounds fun, but we didn't make it up. Uh, there is actually a trend, exercise snacking. It is one of the fitness trends. It's the notion of breaking up your day with short bursts of exercise, just like you treat yourself to a snack. So let's imagine that training is a full meal, and if you're too busy or I don't know, too lazy to go to gym and have a full format training, we will give you a snack during the day to keep you fit. Of course, it cannot replace completely the regular intensive trainings, but it's enough to keep you healthy and fit during the day. And now you understand, when you understand how to distinguish yourself from the competitors, you can understand how to communicate and differentiate yourself. So here we come to the next stage. This is developing your design and style guide. And first of all, brand is not about decorating or making stuff pretty good looking. It's about functionality, especially in case we're a startup. And there are a few functions that I would like to emphasize. The first is to differentiate yourself from the competitors and on a heavy saturated market, to show that you are unique and you have that unique solution and this unique value for the customer. The second function is to significant yourself, because you see, if you are a startup, then probably you have invented something completely different for solving some new problem or old problem, doesn't matter, but customers are not aware of it, so they need time and effort to get it. So the goal here is to help them understand your value from the first touch point. That means that you have to look like that problem solution, talk like that problem solution, and act like that problem solution by any means. And here comes the old but gold duck test, which says that if it looks like duck, swims like duck, and quacks like duck, then it's probably a duck. So you have to reverse this duck test and be like that duck for your customer. And here comes branding, which is effective tool to help you to convey your customer, to help your customer to understand your value from the first touch point. The other function is budget optimization, because when the customer gets consistent messages and experience across all the channels and touch points with your company, it becomes easier for him to recognize your company. And as a result, you need fewer hits, fewer contacts to build awareness, which ultimately leads to budget optimization. And the final one is building trust, because your design system creates a kind of order and shows you your systematic approach to your project, to your business, and that makes impression of a commitment from your end to your customers and your investors. Moving on, and here we came to naming and descriptor, and the way that you can approach to creating your name. I will describe a few our experiences. So first of all, you start with market research around your competitors and your industry. Make a list of all your competitors and someone else in the market, and try to look for the competitors like your potential customers would do. Like Google it, search them on social network and different articles. Then make that list and try to identify some anti-trend. The anti-trend is like some negative associations, or like in this case, when we were developing naming for matcha brand, almost all competitors had that name, part of name matcha on the market, and it doesn't sound unique anymore. So you will try to find something that you have to avoid. And after that, develop your own ideas of naming using inputs, keywords from your positioning and audience insights. That's what I mean actually. Collect all your insights from positioning, inputs from positioning, insights from your customer researchers, and based on that, create a list of names. You can use various practices and techniques how to create naming. There are available in internet. I'm not going to focus on that now. But of course, you can use some AI tools also, because they work great here. The main point is to put enough inputs from your researchers and from your strategy to make AI to give you a decent proposition. Make a long list, then make a short list of the names. And after that, when you have your short list, check the naming. Check the options of the name, first of all on trademark, domain, in social media and Google, at least first 3 pages, to make sure that the namings are unique and not occupied yet. And at the second stage, I would recommend to check them on pronunciation, to some jargon meanings, and the important thing, the meanings in your in the language of your target region, to avoid such situations, for example. And getting back to our case with Timples, we after detailed prompt and description of the name that we needed, the system provided us, the ChatGPT provided us around a hundred of different options of names, and only few of them were left in a short list. And at the end, we picked our favorite, checked them, and finally we got the Timples as you can see it on the screen. So the key to success here is to have enough inputs from your research to make a decent prompt. The descriptor. I will remind you that descriptor is a concise phrase or a sentence that displays the core of your business or the core of your value proposition. So again, get a clear answers for those 3 questions. So what that is, who it is for, and what problem it solves, and communicate clearly. Try to avoid some metaphoric slogans on the early stage of startup, because slogan like "just do it" might not work here. For example, you can see how some well-known solutions communicated at early stage and at the late stage. You can feel the difference, do you? So the left is the descriptor, and on the right side there are more like slogans or more like brand communication. And this is a 10 years journey actually. Yeah, here's an example of descriptor from our product, Raccoon Care, which is the application for getting rid of back pain and physical therapy. We had the problem, we identified the problem that in US, or I suppose in Europe also, you have to wait for appointment with a doctor or physical therapist for weeks while your back hurts. And our application gave the instant solution that you can use right now, right today. So our descriptor was physical therapy today. Yeah, that's the descriptor. And finally, let's wrap it up in a short checklist. How to make your MVB for MVP. So those are the main aspects and your main assets that you should work on: the positioning, naming, descriptor, slogan, and communication. And of course, the basis for that all is your ideal customer profile, your value proposition, and your USP. Um, that's it for today. Thanks for your attention. And if you have any questions, you can ask them now or get connected with me and drop me a line in social networks, for example. Thanks a lot. I hope that was insightful and useful for you.
That was 100% insightful and useful. Thank you, Arthur, for such a cool dive into the essence of branding. Dear participants, do you have any questions to Arthur? If not, we are really grateful to each and every one of you who joined us today. Stay tuned for next Thursday. As the second lecture, we are going to talk more about practical marketing for startups. So save the date and join us. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week then.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Yana. Have a good night and see you next Thursday.